What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing a little nugget down to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the North Node in Taurus in the 7th house. Now, when you talk about the North Node, you may hear it referred to as the Dragon's Head or as Rahu, and it's always in opposition to the Dragon's Tail. These are the eclipse points. But where the South Node is where you can think about it as the Dragon's Tail, K2, but where I like to think of it as where you've been, it's your past, the wisdom that you call upon to decide where you're going in the future, which is the North Node. This is an area, or wherever this house is in the 7th house for this instance, this area is going to be an area where you're going to want some sort of mastery over, where you're going to want to, really get an understanding of these themes and pay attention to how they shape the direction of your life. You can get a lot of very useful information from the nodes there. And then you talk about Taurus. Taurus is ruled by the lovely Venus, and they are the fixed earth sign. They are receptive or yin in nature. And I find with Taurus having that Venusian touch, that there is this ability of just like real natural creativity, with to be able to materialize whatever that looks like for you, whatever you find yourself a natural at that helps you express yourself most fluidly. But I find that Taurus can really build things of long lasting beauty. There's this patience and tenacity that I find with, that I think about with, and I'm just talking about Taurus energy in general there. But I think that they do have this ability to build this sense of comfort and really build these, make their dreams manifest. Again, with that energy of Venus, it's really really cool what I think they could do. With musicians, I like the gardeners of the zodiac. And then you think about the 7th house. The 7th house is one of the angular houses in a chart. So this is one of the, like a pretty sensitive point on top of your midheaven, your ascendant, and your IC, or the subterranean place, the 4th house. And when you talk about this in traditional astrology was known as the setting house. And some of the themes that it covers are going to be marriage or your spouse. This deals with all types of relationships, whether this be as a teacher or a student, a guru or a disciple, a therapist or a patient, doctor, patient, any of those sort of like one-on-one relationships. That's what this house is going to cover here. Also, the 7th house can deal with like living abroad. But also, too, just as we're not talking about just like the good relationships that come too. This can also be the house of enemies. And you can learn just as much from the people that are there for your life, for the long haul, but you can also learn from those relationships that maybe didn't go so well. And it becomes where it's not where, we're not wishing things bad for them. We want them love and light. But how could I have grown? Where could I have shown better discernment? That's where we can really get from that sort of enemies aspect of it. But those are just going to be some rough themes that this house covers. And when you talk about this placement, some things to think about. One, you'd have a Scorpio rising by whole sign. But you're going to want to look to Venus, because the Empress, Venus, is going to be in charge of this house and of your 12th house, that's a tricky house. That's going to be of any sort of like great illnesses. This could be like isolations, things along those lines. And I'll explain why I talk about this in a second and how this may show up. So when you're just some things I would talk about with this placement, considering too where Mars is at and what the houses that Mars rules, there's probably a chance that maybe you do something where you're involved in some sort of like maybe healthcare, or maybe there's like, and this could look like in a number of ways. Maybe you're a counselor, maybe you do something in therapy, maybe you do something as a doctor, maybe whatever this is, where you're working with people, helping them do like short-term and maybe even long-term care. That whatever this is, but maybe this is helping. This to me, you maybe could be someone, especially being a Scorpio rising. That's a very strong placement. Maybe you're the one that people come to get grounded with that Taurus energy. You're someone who can, because the beautiful thing I find about the Scorpio rising, and this is again where your South Node is. So that's why we're kind of talking about this stuff a little bit together here. But I find with Scorpio energy, it can take because sometimes the emotions can become toxic, and that's when you think about the Scorpio. They're carrying the toxins with them, but that same energy can be transmuted and become the anti-venom for this thing, the cure. And so people may come to you to help kind of transmit those things, because we all go through those sort of like 12th house transits, 6th house transits. So, maybe you end up maybe you take care of a family member, maybe you take care of a spouse, that's going to be something that happens from time to time. And how do you, because what I could see this maybe the struggle maybe could be is when we're going through those sort of lower parts in life. That can be a lot to bear. And maybe someone with a Scorpio rising, you may feel that a lot, where maybe you're used to someone like a certain consistency there. That's something I think with fixed signs. When things start to change and it's not on their terms, then there's this reactive sort of thing to kind of hold it all together. And so maybe in order to not deal with that, maybe you just kind of like push yourself off or kind of isolate yourself when things get hard, or just kind of, and so that could be where we're working on that. And this could be where you're maybe working with a therapist possibly, that could be something that's possible, where you getting eyes on these things. And like maybe you're just someone who takes on energies too much, and you need to be able to communicate that to establish more kind of firm, steady relationships, if that's something that's resonating with we're just kind of spitballing here right now. But that is, I think, something to pay attention to, just like the relationships that you do build over your lifetime. How are they sustaining you? I think that there need to make sure to have those sort of check-ins because people are going to change over time. That's just inevitable. So it's like, how do we deal with this change? When is it that, okay, we can take this contract to the next level, or where we may need to revisit some things, or maybe even end this stuff altogether. So these are going to be some just important themes that are going to come through there. But I do think that also this would be a great placement to, if you have any sort of like mentorship that you can get involved with. I think that could be something where anywhere where you could go from becoming a student to becoming a teacher, and again, whatever field that looks like for you, I think that could be very beneficial. And I think that too, calling on your past experiences and how you've gotten through things and sharing that with others, I think in being of service in some sort of way like that, I think will be very beneficial, not just for the other people, but for you too. I think there's something very, really nice in that as well, I think, to kind of explore there. But again, you need the whole chart to know what's going on with this. But I would love to hear if you have this placement down in the comments. Leave how if you know someone who's been working with this, like how this may be manifesting in their life right now. And if you want to work with these placements more personally, want to get more familiar, understand the nodes and things like that, and all the planetary placements, how these connections come together. Because I'm just like, it's not like I'm just like pulling just random topics out the air. It's all lined up really nicely in the chart, and it's like why I talk about these certain themes and how that may kind of pop up there. So if that's something that you want to get more familiar with the energies that you're working with, any sort of transits and things, down in the description box is a link to get in touch with me, and we can talk about the services that I provide. And look at that, you built another relationship. How fantastic. And then if you want to build a relationship with just the transits that are going on just in general, on this channel, I also do weekly videos that come out every Mercury day. That's a Wednesday. Just talking about that, and you can get an eye on when you have different aspects forming with your, if you know what, the nodes will be forming some kind of harmonious stuff with them being in Virgo and Pisces right now. So that's really nice. A little something to think about. But last thing, if you want to work with the moon, these are lunar nodes. So if you want to work with the noon, or work with the moon, and maybe at noon, then come on over to my other channel, The Chariot and Friends. I do videos every time the moon changes signs and talk about what sign she's in, phase she's in, when she's going for, of course, all those lunar shenanigans. So it's a good old time. But until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you. Always happy to see you on the next one. Later.